A hairdresser is facing a £2 million court bill after losing a fight over their tycoon dad's £100 million fortune. Louise Reeves, 35, battled brother, Bill Reeves in court after their rags-to-riches property king dad Kevin died, leaving her most of his £100 million cash in property empire. The tycoon had previously intended to leave Bill, 47, a share worth about £27 million, but his final will in 2014 left him with just a collection of personal possessions worth about £200,000. But last month, High Court Judge Mr. Justice Michael Green ruled the will was invalid, since Louise could not prove that Kevin knew and approved of it. He found that very materialistic Louise probably engineered the will and had not proved that illiterate Kevin knew and approved of its contents. It meant Louise and Bill will instead each get £27 million, with the rest split between their half-sister Lisa Murray and other family members. He ordered Louise to pick up most of the siblings' bill for the bitter legal fight, during which each side accused the others of lying in court. As well as her own £1 million costs, she was ordered to pay 70% of Bill's legal expenses, which are also likely to run more than £1 million, lawyers said. Late multimillionaire Kevin Reeves with his daughter Louise Reeves, left, and son Bill Reeves, right, when they were children. Image, Champion News. Kevin Reeves with his daughter Louise, Image, Champion News. The judgment against her carried the strong implication she had engineered an extraordinary fraud on her father by getting him to execute the 2014 will without knowing its terms or thinking they were something else, said Bill's barrister, Constance McDonnell QC. During the trial in November, the court heard Rolls-Royce driving property tycoon Kevin Reeves built up a vast personal fortune despite humble beginnings. Having been left as an orphan child at a convent and quitting school aged just 12. He had 4 children, but his final will left 80% of his millions to his Tony and Guy-trained daughter, Louise, when he died aged 71 in 2019. The rest was to go to Lisa. His death sparked a bitter feud after his second son claimed Louise had bullied their dad to change his will and leave him almost nothing. Bill claimed Jekyll and Hyde Louise, who he said likes money and is drawn to flash things, was behind their dad's inexplicable decision to almost completely cut him out. He told the court he enjoyed a great relationship with his dad, even offering to donate a lung when he was ill. This, he said, meant there was no reason why Kevin should leave him with so little in his last will made in 2014. Ruling, Mr. Justice Michael Green rejected the claim that Louise had bullied her dad, but said she had pulled the wool over his eyes so he did not know what was in the will. I believe that Louise is a risk-taker and she can be manipulative. She knows what she wants and she knows how to get it, he said. I believe that she was prepared to take the risk, because the prize was so great, of being found out by the deceased in relation to the 2014 will, and she would have taken the consequences. It meant their dad's fortune would be split under the terms of an earlier 2012 will, which gave 10% shares to his estranged son Mark's 2 kids, Ryan and Rhea, with the remaining 80% split equally between Bill, Louise and Lisa. Ms. McDonnell argued that she had been calculated in her orchestration of the will, including assessing risks such as whether her dad would actually be able to read it for himself and sending emails to a solicitor that were deliberately false. Quoting from the judge's findings, she said Louise had been shown to be someone who is prepared to go to considerable lengths in order to get what she is capable of being ruthless and manipulative, using her intelligence and willingness to take risks to act deviously for her own personal interests. Ms. McDonnell continued, the claimant's conduct in bringing and pursuing the proceedings has been manifestly dishonest in that she has propounded a will which she knew to be false. The claimant's actions in doing so have consumed a very considerable amount of the court's time and resources, and have caused Bill to incur very substantial legal costs, as well as the strain of this long-running dispute. Francis Tregear QC argued Louise should not pay all of the lawyer's bills, since Bill had not won on every point alleged at the trial, the judge having found that Louise had not unduly influenced her dad into making the will. As the judge had found Kevin would not have been able to read the will, it would have been declared valid had it simply been read aloud to him before he put pen to paper, he claimed. Louise Reeves acted perfectly properly, and as she was entitled if not bound to act, by putting forward what she knew was her father's last testamentary document, he said. Notwithstanding the wide-ranging nature of the inquiry forced by the defendants, much of which was irrelevant, and the adverse findings made against the claimant in the judgment, it is essential not to lose sight of the fact that ultimately the 2014 will failed on a very narrow basis. After hearing a day of argument, the judge ruled that Louise should pay 70% of Bill's court costs, estimated at well over £1 million, and to be assessed on the punishing indemnity basis. Read more. Russia seizes first Ukrainian city as mayor begs troops not to shoot civilians. Read more. Camilla in tears as she meets Ukrainians and hears their harrowing stories.